Okay, let's go over study guide 10.2.1. So this is the study guide that you had last week. Write a sentence in your own words to explain what a life cycle is. So a life cycle, there we go. Thicker. A life cycle is a series of stages of growth, development, and reproduction. So a series of stages of growth, development, and reproduction. And this you just got from the definition straight from the study guide reading you did. Now if we look here, move this out of the way. If you look here, it's asking you to talk about the different stages of the life cycle represented by this diagram. So if we look at step 1, it's an adult, and adults which have 2 N chromosomes, remember that's the full body number of chromosomes, they can produce gametes. Those are your sex cells, which are half the number of chromosomes of body cells. So that is meiosis. Meiosis makes sex cells. Then from there, this step at stage 2, between the sex cells and the zygote, fertilization has to happen. And so this is when the sperm meets the egg. So in this case, you'd have the sperm and the egg. Then from the zygote, step 3, the zygote has to develop into an embryo. So the zygote is going to be one cell, but as it goes from step 3 to step 4, that cell is going to continue to divide, and that is mitosis. Cell division makes more cells. And then as the offspring develops, it's going to eventually go through birth. And then we have a baby, and the baby is going to, so step 4 would be birth, the embryo develops into a baby and birth happens. And then from baby to juvenile, there's development. And then from a juvenile to adult, we call that maturation. Next page. So, question 3, list the stages of a typical life cycle in order from first to last, starting with the zygote. So we have a zygote. So you can really go off the picture from question 2. We have a zygote, an embryo, a baby, a juvenile or a child, to an adult. Main idea. Many animals have life cycles that include metamorphosis. So here you had to choose the best answer of the term. So the life cycle of every animal includes sexual reproduction. Each gamete produced for sexual reproduction has one set. Remember, they have half the number of chromosomes as your body cells. Gametes are sex cells. So that's your sperm and egg cells. After fertilization, every cell in each stage of the animal's life now has 2 sets because the sperm and the egg have come together, so now you have a complete chromosome set. Let's go to the next page. So this page is asking you to complete the diagrams. So you had to label the diagrams for the different life cycles of the different animals. So let's look at the butterfly first. We can start from the adult. So that's the full-grown butterfly. Actually, let's start over here at the egg. So we have the egg. The egg is going to become a pupa, which goes into the chrysalis, and then the adult butterfly. So we can label this butterfly life cycle. We can label this one dragonfly life cycle. And the dragonfly also starts as an egg, and instead of a pupa, it's called a nymph. And then we have the adult dragonfly. For the next page, you had to fill in some blanks over here. So, adult insects use meiosis to produce gametes, or sex cells, for sexual reproduction. Females produce egg cells, and males produce sperm cells. Fertilization takes place inside a female insect's body. A zygote forms when a sperm and an egg cell fuse. So this is fertilization. Females lay fertilized eggs which contain embryos. A larva, such as a caterpillar or a nymph, emerges when an egg of an insect hatches. The immature insect then goes through changes called metamorphosis. The caterpillar of a butterfly becomes a pupa before the insect becomes an adult. The nymph of a dragonfly molts several times before the adult insect emerges. Number 7, what is one environmental factor that can affect how long stages of a life cycle would last? So you could say amount of food, you could say temperature, you could say weather, so like amount of precipitation. There's a lot of different things you could say for that. Main idea, the human life cycle resembles the life cycles of most vertebrates. Label the diagrams of the life cycles of frogs and chickens. Use the terms adult, amniotic egg, amphibian, bird, chicks, embryo, embryos, gametes, tadpole, and young frog. Some terms will be used more than once. So let's start over here. Let's use green for the frog. Let's start over here with the amphibian life cycle. This is our frog. So we start out with gametes. In the picture here, you can see the sperm and the eggs, and those are going to become embryos once the sperm fertilizes the egg. Then you have your little baby tadpole, and the tadpole develops into a young frog until eventually it develops into the adult frog. Let's look at the bird. So for the bird life cycle, we start out with an amniotic egg, an embryo, a chick, and then an adult bird. And let's do one more, and then I'm going to make another video, so we'll upload it again. So for this one, number 9, list the stages of the human life cycle in order from first to last, starting with zygote. So we start with a zygote. We have an embryo. The embryo becomes a fetus. The fetus becomes a baby, and then a juvenile, or child, teen, and then adult. So you're seeing the same thing repeat over and over here.